Hello, Iris J here with Madrona's Pulse Teachings. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time tuning in, a special welcome. I talk about astrology, spirituality. I work with the new moon, full moon, astro transits, also just general topics around astrology and healing. If this is your first time, please subscribe. It really helps these smaller channels contribute and get out there amidst this paradigm change that we are all part of. And I would love to chat with you today about the Leo new moon. Okay. Firstly, the facts. This Leo new moon is on August 16th. Where I am on the Pacific coast of Canada, it's at 2:38 a.m. So you want to adjust for wherever you are. And this is happening between 23 and 24 degrees of Leo. So you absolutely want to have a look at your birth chart if you have your birth chart. And see what house that's falling within. If you're really new to astrology, or you don't have your chart, or you don't know your birth time, you can just listen to this talk, to any astrology talk about the general energies, and just feel into what's coming up for you and how it resonates. So we have a Leo new moon. Okay, so just remembering that a new moon is traditionally a time when we are getting quiet, when we are coming in. It is taking us into the dark side, the darkness of the moon. And that's especially true with this moon because of what's going on with Venus. And it is a time to reflect. It is a time to reflect from within the darkness, a time to listen to the energies that are coming up and then really see. And it's also a time to be as honest as we can with ourselves. And I love journaling for that. We can kind of journal for a little while and try and journal through the layers of that mind that makes up reasons why something is happening or gets into other ways. And eventually, sometimes we can journal through and get to the heart of a matter that wants to come up. There's also a lot of reflective meditation practices that are helpful for that. And these are all really useful practices around the new moon. I know for myself, when something, if I'm ruminating on something and it's like, there's anxiety and there's stress and it's like the same thing is coming up. And especially if that's happening where I'm like wanting to blame someone or this. And if I get really honest, there's something underneath that actually has nothing to do with that little drama that was coming up in my day-to-day life. And it's something meatier and it's something juicier. And journaling is a really helpful practice for me to get under there and really see what's coming up. And the reason I'm talking about this is because this is a new moon that wants us to get into the depths of ourselves and see what's coming up. And this is a place where if you're someone that uses social media a lot or goes or follows a lot of social media memes, you know, you might just be seeing Leo, new moon, passion. I've been seeing a heck of a lot of people, look at me, I'm wearing pink, a heck of a lot of people talking about Barbie, it's Leo season. That is really not tuning into the, I'm sorry, but that's really not tuning into the energies that are present in terms of the like walk the red carpet and take up as much space as we want to, because Leo gives us permission to do that. This is a Leo new moon that is happening while Venus is retrograde. Okay, and the new moon, so we have the sun and the moon together. That is what makes this a new moon. They're in Leo, are conjunct the planet Venus, firstly. And just a few days before this new moon, Venus was conjunct the sun. So when Venus is in her retrograde journey, which means that it looks, retrograde itself means that from our position, it looks like the planet is moving backwards. And when Venus is conjunct the sun, it's in a position where she's disappeared from the sky, from our view. And this is with ancient myths and in astrology and the history of astrology and traditions. This is traditionally considered a journey of Venus into the underworld. So the fact that we're making this journey with Venus into her underworld, which is loosely, well, not loosely, is very much part of the tradition of the myth of Inanna, and that is a goddess's descent into the underworld, where she actually went through a death and a rebirth and emerged a new woman, a new goddess. We have the divine feminine speaking very strongly during this cycle of the new moon with Venus in its retrograde. And it's a time of depth. It's a time of quiet. There is a lot of aspects in the chart of this new moon. I'm not going to talk about all of them because it would just be a lot of astro jargon, and I like to really try and weave a narrative of the energies for you. And so let's just work firstly with that new moon and that that new moon, which is the sun and the moon conjunct Venus in Leo. This is, getting into reflection and questions honestly about our self-worth, about what we want to shine out into the world, about the divine feminine. And this is regardless of our gender, what the divine feminine means for us. This is Venus, this is love, this is values, this is passion, this is the way that our love and our values and our passion extend out into relationship in our lives. And the way that then works with this sun in Leo in our creative self-drive that's really fueled by a combination of self-love and channeling creative divine energy, which all humans here we can be doing. And these are some of the themes that are coming up for us to reflect on. And in addition to being conjunct Venus, this is a new moon that is squaring the planet Uranus, okay? And Venus has just made her second of 3 squares to the planet Uranus during her Venus retrograde journey. So there's a lot of Uranus energy coming through at this particular point in time. Uranus is the great awakener. Uranus is the change maker. Uranus calls for authenticity. Uranus doesn't just call for authenticity, it calls for radical authenticity. So this radical wake up to our authentic sense of self in terms of self-love. Uranus is still there in Taurus. Uranus is going on this bigger journey of Taurus, opening up themes of value, sustainability in the collective. Uranus and Taurus is absolutely about this climate crisis that we see taking effect all over the globe at the present moment. And that energy is wanting to awaken both in the body and in our very fire spirit, because Leo is a gorgeous fire spirit of creative energy that, literally just wants to awaken. And yet there is darkness. Yet there is a descent into the underworld going on at this particular time. And yet there is rebirth energy going on. And let's not forget that there's this rebirth of Venus energy going on. And there's also Pluto square the nodes, which is part of the symphony that holds all of the cosmic energies that are manifesting in our lives and our psyches and our bodies at the present moment. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of energy. And in addition to that, this new moon is also trining the nodes, those nodes that are squaring Pluto, and it's also trining Chiron, our wounded healer. And the trine, of course, is a supportive aspect in astrology. And yet when we're trining the nodes and Chiron during this kind of symphony of great change and some unrest and change and transformation, these are heavy players to be trining. And they really suggest that whatever is coming up at this particular point for you, because these are the energies and the archetypes, and then in our own lives they come up in very particular ways. Whatever's coming up, especially in this journey of what is my self-worth, what are my true passions, have I silenced my true passions, why have I silenced them? How can I embody them? How can I live with them? How can I either bring them into my work or into my daily life or into my spirituality? Again, it depends where all of this is happening in your chart. But whatever's coming up with the nodes and Chiron, this is about our soul journey. This is about our healing, our own individual healing, and then the way that that radiates out into the collective. It is actually a lot of very exciting energy, but it is also exhausting energy, okay? This journey of Venus can be exhausting, especially if you have points that are being aspected or hit with it, and that can happen through a conjunction, a square, a trine, an opposition. There's all other layers that come into astrology in the way that these aspects are impacting us. Like, for example, the fact that Uranus, that Uranus is in Taurus, speaking to this new moon in Leo, where it's conjunct Venus, is very significant because Venus is one of the ruling planets, is the ruling planet of Taurus. So there's this added layer, and really all astrology is just these layers that are weaving themselves, and we learn to read the moving mosaic that we're all a part of. And the energies right now, especially with that ongoing square of the nodes and Pluto, is really bringing us in into how our individual lives and our individual joys and our individual struggles are part of the collective. And that collective and the paradigm that collective is formed around is changing. It is shifting. It is bringing us into this shift that is Pluto entering into Aquarius, that we could also say is us moving in at a greater macro level into the age of Aquarius. And these are monumental shifts that are happening. And so reminders that we need sometimes to rest. We need to really take care of our bodies and our minds and our spirits, and in whatever feeds us, in whatever state it is that we find ourselves during this new moon. And with that, I send all my blessings, and I hope that you are all well as we can be during these times. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.